Going to start with the NFC here and start with the Chicago Bears. It is so crazy to me how many Bears games this season have seemingly followed the same script. And it was the case again in this wild card game. Again, the offense can do nothing for 3 quarters. They muster 6 points. And again, Caleb Williams comes alive in the final quarter, makes some insane plays, including that 4th and 8 play to Rome Odunze. And again, they scored 25 points in the 4th quarter to come back and stun the Packers. Bears advance to host the Rams on Sunday. Evan, what did you think of another miraculous Bears comeback win, this time in the playoffs?
All 3 Bears-Packers games this season were incredibly intense. The Bears didn't lead on a single snap played against the Packers all season. And, there are a lot of good, like, Bears-specific football analysts, like Matt Bowen and Olin Kreutz and Clay Harbor. And, the list goes on. And I have not heard any of them give a good, solid explanation for why the Bears have this tendency to start slow and then battle back. None of them. I think you even look at the way, if you look at Ben Johnson's body language during the game, I think he was tilting in the first half. There was one particular 4th down play. I couldn't believe he went for it. I think that the Bears were on their own 30 or something like that. I think that he was tilting his face off. But Caleb Williams is a special, special talent. The throw to Odunze on 4th down was just absolutely unbelievable. Colston Loveland, his last 3 games, he looks like the best tight end in the league. The Bears during this game did lose their starting left tackle, Ozzie Trapillo, to a torn patellar tendon. That could matter because if you just look at like ratings and grades for offensive lineman, Theo Benedette, he's like one of the worst tackles in the league. So that could definitely matter. But obviously the game was an unbelievable thriller.
Yeah. Speaking of injuries, TJ Edwards also broke his leg. I don't know if you think that matters at all, Evan.
I don't think that he had been playing very well. And at the same time, and actually some of his backups, like DeMarco Jackson, have played pretty well when TJ Edwards has missed time, when Tremaine Edmonds has missed time. I don't think that any aspect of the Bears defense is playing well, though, at this point.
Okay. So, yeah, the Trapillo thing definitely matters. We'll talk more about that on Friday, establish the show ahead of the divisional round. The big story from a usage perspective on offense, at least, was how would Rome Odunze's return affect what went on? And they did run more 3 wide receiver sets. Routes in this game on 53 Caleb dropbacks were Colston Loveland 48, DJ Moore 46, Odunze 39, Burden 35, and then you drop down to the guys who were clogging it up before, not clogging it up as much now. Cole Kmet 23 routes on those 53 dropbacks. Zacchaeus only 14 routes on 53 dropbacks. So yeah, it's great for Colston Loveland. He is the alpha. He's the featured player. The Luther Burden stuff we talked about last week came to fruition. Only 66% of the routes here and only a 14.6% target share.
Yes. And he was the intended target on both of Caleb's interceptions. And we don't always know what goes on, how is he supposed to run a route and things like that. Only the players and the coaches know that. But it looked to me like he ran a couple of really bad routes during the game. And that kind of goes to explain why he hasn't become a full-time player, Luther Burden.
Yeah. And to get 14.6% of the targets on only 66% of the routes, I think that's solid. He is a target earner, so even when he only runs 60, 70% of the routes, I still am interested in playing him on these short-ish slates. But yeah, they're going to have to find a way to start faster because when you play the Rams, not being able to move the ball on offense for 3 quarters, I don't know if that's going to work. And we'll get to the Rams stuff here in a second. Good news, I think, for the Bears, though, Evan, is this game against the Rams is going to be Sunday night, late game on Sunday night. It is going to be very, very, very cold. Not that the Rams can't win in the cold. They went to Philly last year in the snow in the playoffs and almost won that game. So Rams can certainly do it, but I do think it's a small edge making the Rams go outside in 0-degree weather, whatever's going to be in Chicago Sunday night.
Yep, and I thought it was important because you don't find out the time slots until Monday night, and the time slot came out that the Bears are going to be playing the night game, which I think they need every advantage that they possibly can get. You know, I mean, there's a good argument to be made that the Rams are the best team left standing. And the Bears have a lot of flaws, but they can beat anyone when Caleb plays like he did in the second half. The Bears had 11 explosive plays in the second half against the Packers. That's the most by any team in NFL playoff history in one half. 11 explosive plays.
Rams opened up as a 3.5-point favorite. Total is 50.5 there in Chicago. All right. Evan mentioned the explosive plays Chicago had late in that game. I want to put a bow on the Packers season. And man, Jordan Love had, I thought, a really good season. And I wonder what would happen if Micah Parsons never got hurt or if Brandon McManus didn't miss 2 field goals and an extra point. Because I think Jordan Love, they hid him too much this year, in my opinion. His efficiency stuff on EPA, on completion percentage over expected, on success rate, on QBR, it's all pretty elite, but he didn't get enough volume. They were so run heavy at times, and he didn't really get to see it. And that hurts him in fantasy, but I think it also hurt them in real life, where Josh Jacobs down the stretch just couldn't do anything, and they needed Jordan Love to kind of carry them more. So, Evan, any final thoughts on the Packers season as they head home?
Yeah, I thought the one promising takeaway is that Matthew Golden played a pretty good game in this game. And he didn't have very many good games over the course of the year. So maybe that's something. It's just one game, and it wasn't against a particularly good defense. But Matthew Golden having a good game in a playoff game in a big spot, maybe that's something that he can parlay into next year, because Packers need him to step up. I mean, they need more from their receiver corps. Christian Watson gave it to him after he returned from his injury. They'll be getting Tucker Kraft back. I'll be interested to see what happens with Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. I think it is notable that Romeo Doubs is a unrestricted free agent here. And at the same time, it's notable that in this playoff game, I thought that Matthew Golden might not play very much at all. He ran 24 routes on 49 Jordan Love dropbacks, went 484-1. So yeah, Romeo Doubs gone and Golden getting some looks here in the playoff game. I think that bodes well. Speaking of free agency, my guy, Evan, is a free agent. Malik Willis, man. Where's he going to land? I hope that he gets a starting job somewhere. I saw some people already speculating he's going to get somewhere between $40 and $50 million in free agency. So I'm really excited to see where Malik Willis lands in a free agency perspective.
And last note, Matt LaFleur, who had been kind of thrown about as a candidate to get fired, which I don't think it would be deserved whatsoever. I think that Matt LaFleur is a definite top 10 coach in the NFL. Schefter reported that Matt LaFleur and the Packers are now in extension negotiations. Yep. It would actually be a good thing for the rest of the division if Matt LaFleur left, I think. But it sounds like the Packers are going to keep him.
I mean, come on. They were up 27-16 with 6 minutes left. I mean, McManus missed 2 field goals and an extra point. They didn't have Micah Parsons. I'm not saying LaFleur is some genius, but I'm not putting this on him whatsoever.
Me either. What do you think about the post-game handshake analysis between Ben Johnson and Matt LaFleur? Do you get into that stuff?
I don't, but I saw there was some viral video where Ben Johnson said F the Packers or something like that. And he was asked about it and he was like, you know what? I don't really like them, which is good, man. There's more stuff. I go to these high school basketball games. These kids hate each other. The coaches hate it. The fans hate each other. And it's great. The games are so intense. I think in professional sports, more of that I think would actually be fun. So yeah, I dig it. All right. Let's go to the Rams. This was the first game of Wildcard Weekend, and Rams started pretty hot. They were up 14-0 early in the second quarter. Given they were playing the Panthers, I kind of felt like it was over. Rams up 14-0. They're kind of running them over. It felt like it was going to be hard for the Panthers to come back. But no. Panthers storm back, take a 24-20 lead early in the fourth, take another 31-27 lead with just 2 minutes left. And then the likely MVP, Matthew Stafford, calm, cool, collected, down the field, orchestrates the game-winning drive. Rams survive and move on to face the Bears in the divisional round. It was not an inspiring performance, though, whatsoever from the Rams, who have not played that great over the last month or so. Evan, what do you think of Rams' win in Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, they got it done. This is the second game where the Panthers beat them in their regular season meeting, so the Panthers just kind of play the Rams well. The Panthers also had a tendency throughout the season to play up to their competition. They, of course, beat the Packers in Week 3 when the Packers were at full strength at Lambeau. So I think you got to give the Panthers some credit. But yeah, I mean, I haven't been on the trend. I know I just said there could be a good argument to be made that the Rams are the best team left standing, but I think that they're very, very beatable, and that's a testament to how flat the playoffs are. It can go any which way.
There were some wild drops in this game. I mean, Devontae Adams, and I don't think this is because he was out. I just think it was kind of random. Devontae Adams, only 5 catches on 13 targets with some drops in there. That is not like him and Stafford. And Puka Nacua was incredible once again, but he had a wild drop at the end of the first half. Would have been a touchdown. He only had 10 catches on 18 targets. But I think that's kind of fluky, those like really bad catch rates. The larger point to me is that with Devontae Adams back here from the hamstring injury, we go back to this crazy concentration. Stafford's running back target rate is so low, only 4 running back targets here out of 42 attempts. And then with Devontae back, you also get fewer tight end snaps and targets. And in this game, we got 31 targets to Devontae and Puka. 74% of Stafford's throws went to those 2 guys. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about these huge projections in DFS on both of them. They don't throw the running back very much. They throw the ball plenty, and tight end was kind of phased out a little bit here. And you get both of these guys projecting massively, and I'm sure we'll have huge projections on both these guys once again ahead of the Bears game.
We talked a lot about how the tight ends would be distributed for the Rams going into the game, and Terrence Ferguson wound up being inactive. He was thought early in the week to be likely to return, but he did not play. Colby Parkinson, 75% of the snaps. Tyler Higbee and Parkinson got the touchdown. Tyler Higbee, 51%. Davis Allen, 43%. And the running back distribution was about what it had been to close out the regular season. Maybe a little tighter in terms of touches, but in terms of playing time, it's pretty much a 65-35 split on a weekly basis between Kyren Williams and Blake Corum.
Yeah, I mean, no change. They had some big games where they used Corum on that series-by-series stuff, and they continued it here in the playoffs. I will note on the tight end stuff, Davis Allen was out there plenty, but he's really their blocker. He only ran 9 routes. Parkinson, 24. Higbee, 20 routes on those 44 Stafford dropbacks. But I do think that Ferguson will be back this week, and so we're going to have even more clutter there among Rams tight ends. All right, just putting a bow on the Panthers season. The question they need to answer, I think, is Bryce Young our guy? And I know he made some big time plays in this game, but I think when you're 20th in completion percentage over expected, like Bryce Young is, when you're 34th in yards per attempt, when the game plan every week seems to be run the ball, play defense, throw the ball short. We now have 46 game sample in the NFL on Bryce Young. I don't think he's the answer. I mean, can you win with him? With a very good team around him? Probably, but I don't think he's the answer for this Panthers team. That said, I don't know what they do. They're not going to have access to any rookie stuff. So yeah, Evan, any thoughts on Panthers as they head into their offseason?
Just before we started recording, the Panthers general manager, Dan Morgan, announced that the Panthers are going to pick up Bryce Young's 5th-year option, which, I mean, it's only $26.5 million. So that was obvious. But I do think that locks him into one more season as the Panthers quarterback, although I think that they could bring in a veteran maybe to compete with him. We'll see what's on the market. I haven't even really delved into the free agency stuff yet, but will eventually. But, yeah, I mean, that's the big – I think that they're settled at receiver. Jalen Coker is a legit number 2. Tet McMillan still ascending. He had over 1,000 yards and 70 catches and 7 touchdowns as a rookie.
From Bryce Young, yeah.
Yeah, from Bryce Young, being the number 8 overall pick. Like, you put him into a box, like, analytically going forward, and, I mean, he projects as, like, a future All-Pro. I like what they have at tight end. I do think Tommy Tremble's contract might be up, but, you know, they'll have Jatavian Sanders coming back. Yeah, I mean, it's all comes down to the quarterback in Carolina.
Yeah. Rico Dowdle is a free agent. I don't know if you caught this, Evan, but Rico Dowdle was out there on Twitter posting like nerd charts. Like I thought it was a Hayden Winks tweet, but it was actually a Rico Dowdle tweet. I'm serious. It was crazy. And he posted like this efficiency chart. Now, it wasn't the greatest chart for him because he didn't look that great in it, but he was trying to show ahead of his free agency that the offensive line was not generating yards before contact for him. So shout out to Rico. He's going to be a free agent. We'll see what they do. But in this game, as we talked about on Friday, Chuba Hubbard actually played ahead of him, ahead of Rico Dowdle. And, you know, I think Chuba is a fine running back. It's just not that important. And they also have Trevor Etienne.
Yeah, who never really earned playing time.
Yeah. He was their.
They really could use an explosive element that neither Chuba Hubbard nor Rico Dowdle gave them.
Yeah.
And they need a home run hitter. And I don't know that Trevor Etienne is that guy. He just did not get on the field as a rookie.
They did trust Trevor Etienne to do kick returns. Not that he handled the job well in the playoff game or anything, but they did trust him to do kick returns and punt returns, I believe, this year. So at least they had some trust in him. But yeah, totally agree with Evan. I mean, Jalen Coker, Tederario McMillan are hits for sure. And I'm pretty confidently say that Coker will be ahead of Xavier Legette going into next year. All right. Let's go to the 49ers. Great win for the 49ers in Philly. They do get Trent Williams back in this game, which made a big difference, but no Ricky Pearsall. They lose George Kittle very early to a sad injury, and they still go into a very hostile environment in Philly, win 23-19. Eagles' offensive woes certainly a factor. We'll get to that, but man, Kyle Shanahan is so good. Like, these guys go out. You know what? Demarcus Robinson just go off for a massive game. I'm not sure how many schemers can make that happen. Evan, what do you think of Niners win in Philly?
Yeah, I mean, they came out guns blazing with Demarcus Robinson getting past Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, see, my takeaway from this game is that Kyle Shanahan outcoached Vic Fangio. That was my takeaway. And I feel like a lot of the focus gets put on to the Eagles, like crumbling, and we'll talk about them. But to me, this was just a masterclass by Kyle Shanahan. The thing that really, 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 really sucks for the 49ers going forward is George Kittle tearing his Achilles.
Yeah.
And Jake Tongas obviously gave him some good snaps during the regular season, but that is such a big loss for them. And it almost makes me think that, you know, the chances of an upset at Seattle are so much longer without George Kittle.
Yeah, and those two really big offensive injuries, and not just fantasy injuries, which obviously matters to us, but real life, these guys, George Kittle and Nico Collins going down, affects, I think, their Super Bowl probability on both teams pretty severely for players that aren't, you know, real life trench guys or quarterbacks, like wide receiver and tight end affecting win probability for the Super Bowl. I think Kittle and Nico Collins definitely do. We have seen Jake Tongas in this role before. And I know Tongas didn't do much against the Eagles. Eagles have one of the NFL's best tight end defenses. But against the Bears, Jake Tongas is definitely going to be in play. We'll talk about him on Friday. Go ahead.
One more note on Kyle Shanahan. So the way that the 49ers attacked Philadelphia in the passing game was on in-breaking routes. Brock Purdy went 12 of 17 for 208 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Eagles on in-breakers. So the 49ers identified that as an area in Vic Fangio's defense that could be exploited, and they went to work.
Just a longer term, like, I've never felt great about Juwan Jennings, even going back to last year, you know, and in this game, they needed him so bad. No Pearsall, no Kittle. Obviously, Ayuk still out. And Juwan Jennings, 3 targets for 9.6% share. Like, I know he's hurt. I know he's been playing through injury, but I still have some questions about like just how good Juwan Jennings is, even though last year his underlying stats, his production were awesome. But yeah.
I think he's just a big possession receiver.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. And that gives you a limited ceiling. I think he's a quality receiver. He only ran 4.7 coming out of Tennessee. But he's just a big physical possession receiver, and he's good at that. And he's not really going to run by anyone. He did have a 29-yard touchdown throw to Christian McCaffrey. And did you see the old boss, Greg Rosenthal, posted that Juwan Jennings, Rivals.com had Juwan Jennings coming out of high school as a top 5 dual threat quarterback recruit in the nation, ahead of Sam Darnold, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow.
Yeah, pretty incredible. But yeah, when he made that throw, I was like, oh man, this dude's played quarterback before.
Yeah,
like it's obvious. All right. Eagles, man, I was in Philly this past weekend for a wedding, and I can confirm that the people of Philadelphia want Nick Sirianni's head on a stick, and they want his friend Kevin Petula with him on that stick. People are putting most of the blame on coaching / scheme, and then whatever is left of the blame is just going directly to Jalen Hurts. So, Evan, where do you come down on what happened to the Eagles this season?
Well, I was big on the Eagles to win this game. And as soon as I saw that Lane Johnson was inactive, I just felt like a pit in my stomach. Like, oh boy. And Jalen Hurts did not play well at all. My God, he was tough to watch. I thought that A.J. Brown was really tough to watch. Saquon looked freaking awesome for the majority of the game. As far as the coaching, like I think they should fire Nick Sirianni. I mean, I understand that he won the Super Bowl last year. I think that he wasn't the driving force behind that whatsoever. I think they should go hire John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh used to be I think he was the special teams coach for the Eagles before he got the Ravens job.
Yeah.
So he knows Jeff Lurie. It's still a great organization. He would, be the, for lack of a better term, cliche. It's just so cliche. I hate this term. He would bring an adult to the room in Philadelphia because Nick Sirianni's kind of a child. And hiring his crony buddy, Kevin Petullo, that's a fireable offense. So they should fire him, and they should hire John Harbaugh.
And not only hiring Petullo, but refusing to make changes in the middle of the year when things were obviously going poorly. He was asked repeatedly, are we going to change who's calling the plays? Are we going to change the scheme? No, we're sticking with Petullo. We're sticking with Kevin. That's tough. I will say, like, resume stuff on coaching is hard. Coaching seems really easy when you have the most talented roster in the league. And I think over the last 2-3 years, the Eagles have had one of, if not the most talented rosters in the league. So yes, Sirianni has been to the playoffs all 5 years as he's been coach. He's been to the Super Bowl twice. He's won once. Do I think he's a great coach? No. Now, I know the Eagles were saying they were.
I think he's a bottom 5 coach.
Yeah. I mean, the Eagles were saying they were running the same scheme as last year. I don't know, man. Like, I think losing Kellen Moore mattered more than we probably gave it credit for before the season. And one place you can see it is in rushing yards before contact per attempt. I mean, they just fell off a cliff. They have been elite at this in the Jalen Hurts era. And then this year they were like mediocre. And the other thing about Sirianni, he can't get A.J. Brown under control. All this guy does is whine and complain. Right. He whines to the owner.
Well, Nick Sirianni can't keep himself under control.
That's true too. That's true.
I mean, yeah, I'd fire him yesterday and hire John Harbaugh.
Producer Ryan chiming in and saying that Nick Sirianni also gave Big Dom a headset. Why is Big Dom, the security guy, wearing a headset in the game? He needs to know. He needs to know the plays. Offseason, though, A.J. Brown's going to be the big story. I mean, obviously, if they fire Sirianni, that's the big story. But will they trade A.J. Brown? It is more complicated than it seems from a contract perspective. But I would love to see A.J. Brown on the Titans for Cam Ward or on the Patriots for Drake May, where he knows Mike Vrabel. So, yeah, that's a big offseason story, and obviously the coaching as well. So, yeah, any A.J. Brown thoughts as we head to the offseason here? Evan, do you think they'll actually end up trading him?
I think that John Harbaugh would be the coach to get A.J. Brown back under control.
Okay.
Either that or you just get rid of him. I mean, there's always like some kind of like controversy going on behind the scenes and nobody really knows what's going on. And, that's not a functional way to run. This has been going on for years, man.
Yeah.
You need a guy to run the team. And Sirianni is not the guy.
Last note on the Eagles for me. I don't think LaShawn McCoy is like the sharpest guy, but I do know or think that he talks to guys at the Eagles.
Definitely not.
And he was saying that people were telling him from the Eagles, hey, listen, we can't do X, Y, Z on offense because Jalen Hurts isn't capable. I'm not sure I agree with that, but they certainly called plays like that for a lot of this year, just like hitch routes and nothing creative. And so, yeah, I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is in trouble, but I'd love to see Tanner McKee run the offense a little bit also and see what would happen there. But man, Hurts played like so incredible in those Super Bowls, and he has a ceiling to play massively incredible. Just for long stretches this year, the offense was very dysfunctional despite all the talent.
Adam is just dying to put a Kia on Tanner McKee in Best Ball 2026.
Tanner McKee, Malik Willis Super Bowl in 2026. That's actually what's going to happen. Okay. Seahawks here were coming out of a bye. I guess the big news from an injury perspective on the Seahawks is they will expected to get Charles Cross back after 3 games out. Now remember, these two teams met, the 49ers and the Seahawks, they met in week 18. Seahawks won that game 13-3. Defense was just absolutely dominant. That game was in San Francisco. This game will be in Seattle, where Seattle is the biggest favorites of the divisional round, 7.5-point favorites and a 45.5 point total. Evan, any early thoughts on Seahawks here as they get set for a home game against the Niners?
Because they're coming off the bye, I don't have any notes on them. Just the Charles Cross thing is huge.
Yep. Remember, there's no better way to get closer to the action than with the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app. Right now, our partners at DK are giving new customers a shot to play free for their share of millions in prizes with their first deposit on the DK app. Simply download it and enter promo code ETR during signup to play free for your share of millions with your first deposit. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-78-9777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. Void prohibited. Minimum $5 deposit required. One single use $3 ticket reward that expires in 14 days. Ends March 31st. See terms and conditions at DraftKings.com/promotions. Let's go to the AFC now. We'll start with the New England Patriots. I didn't even think the Patriots played that well in this game against the Chargers, but they harassed Justin Herbert all night, win the game 16-3. They will host the Texans on Sunday. I think the offense needs to play better if they're going to win the Super Bowl, Evan, but it was really encouraging how well the defense played here against the Chargers. What do you think of Patriots win over the weekend?
Yeah, Drake May did not play his best game, and he still had 268 yards, 9.2 yards per pass attempt, and 66 rushing yards. Ramondre Stevenson continues to be the story of the Patriots offense. I mean, I don't know what has gotten into him, but he's like all of a sudden one of the best receiving backs in the league. You were spot on, by the way, about the running back distribution, going back to Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, he earned it too. I mean, the way that he finished the season, he was outplaying TreVeyon Henderson, and he got the snaps to show it, and he got the production and the touches to show it as well. But the defense was the story of this game, no question, for New England. They got back Robert Spillane and Milton Williams, and they went to town on Justin Herbert. 6 sacks, 11 hits. What was the pressure rate? I don't know, some ungodly pressure rate. Oh, Justin Herbert averaged 3.5 seconds to throw. I mean, he was just confused. Actually, there were quotes from players after the game on the Chargers side. They were like, apparently they were going up to the Patriots players like, we had no idea what you guys were doing. They were confusing the Chargers offense before the snap of the ball. And that's great coaching.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's how they according to Pro Football Focus, the Patriots generated 30 quarterback pressures in this game. The Chargers never had a chance.
Yeah. And we'll get to the Chargers here in a second. I mean, it was obvious that the Chargers offense was confused because Herbert had guys running wide open throughout the game and just could not find him. But yeah, back to the Patriots. So their defense's ability to play like this. And, you know, teams have gotten so much pressure on the Chargers all year, ever since they lost Alt and Slater. But man, if the Patriots defense can play like this, they can win the Super Bowl. And like, you know, I had them, we talked last week. My pick was Patriots over Seahawks in the Super Bowl. I'm sticking with that. We do need to have Christian Gonzalez clear concussion protocol, though. He did sustain a concussion in this game. He's in the protocol. He's been so good this year, like one of the best corners,
unbelievable,
in the league. And
yeah, he was targeted 5 times in this game and did not allow a catch on any of the 5 targets.
So yeah, I mean, I'm optimistic on the Patriots. Back to the running back stuff. You know, Ramondre only outsnapped, and only 40-26 over TreVeyon. You know, that's still solid. 40-26 in snaps. The key to me is in routes. The Patriots do not trust TreVeyon Henderson in the pass game at all. Routes in this game, Ramondre 23, TreVeyon 8. And so that's the huge difference when you're talking about projecting for fantasy, because targets are worth so much more than a carry. Last note for me on Patriots. Talked about Kayshon Boutte on Friday. No Mac Hollins. I don't think people realize how much no Mac Hollins matters. You get Kayshon Boutte out there for 29 routes on 39 dropbacks. Only Stephon Diggs ran more routes among wide receivers. And Kayshon Boutte outplayed Diggs massively. 4 catches, 66 yards. Boutte had a really nice hands catch up the sideline in the second half. Like, I like Boutte, man. Like, all kinds of Boutte. I like Kayshon Boutte and I like regular Boutte. So happy for Kayshon Boutte.
The Patriots did use 5 receivers in the game, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they used Efton Chisholm on 22%. Pop Douglas got 33%. Kyle Williams got 33%. Kayshon Boutte got 53. Stephon Diggs, 62.
Yeah.
One more note on Ramondre. I mean, just to highlight how unbelievable he's been. Over his last 6 games, Ramondre Stevenson has caught 18 of 20 targets for 246 yards. That's 12.3 yards per target and 2 touchdowns. That's wild production for a running back in the passing game.
Yes. Someone referred to him as Ramondre Tomlinson or LaDainian Stevenson to me this week, which I thought was notable. All right. Chargers. I mean, this is Justin Herbert's 3rd straight loss in the wild card round. He clearly did not see what was happening well out there. Vision, guys were open all over the place. He couldn't find them. Just more of the same with all the offensive line woes. The Keenan Allen stuff, leads the team in targets here with 8, and Ladd McConkey only had 4 on the season. Keenan Allen, 130 targets. Ladd McConkey, 110. It's just criminal. And Ladd was actually in the slot. At first, I was like, man, Keenan took the slot role from Ladd, and that's why Ladd had such a bad season. That's not what happened. Ladd was in the slot decently more than Keenan this season. So they have to figure that out. I mean, you cannot run your offense through a 33-year-old slot receiver who has no explosive ability whatsoever. It's got to go through Ladd or someone else more explosive. So, Evan, any final thoughts on Chargers for the 2026 season?
I think that was just the sign of a dysfunctional offense due to mainly to offensive line stuff. I mean, there's going to be a lot of pull for the Chargers to fire Greg Roman. I don't know if that's going to happen because that is Jim Harbaugh's boy. But I mean, I would understand if they did do that. But they were just so dysfunctional due to so many injuries, and then things wind up going not the way that you intended.
Yeah.
People were I want to talk about Herbert a little bit more because I know that there are people that just never watch him play. And then they've seen him play in 3 career games, and they were all in the playoffs, and Justin Herbert has lost all 3. So they're like, I don't understand people think this guy is good. What? Like, we know that Justin Herbert is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And we also can put some context around. He didn't play well in the game, but we do have context to at least explain away partly why he struggled so badly. I mean, the Chargers, I don't think any quarterback in that circumstance would have had any kind of a chance with all the pressure that the Patriots were getting.
I mean, from a talent perspective, I'm optimistic on the Chargers. Maybe you get Alton Slater back at 100%. And honestly, this staff has unlocked something with Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston had a really nice year, I thought. I think Amari Hampton's going to be a hit.
Talk about Amari Hampton because you had a good tweet about him that really pissed people off too, even though you were 100% right.
God, yeah. I mean,
talk about it.
God, I thought. Well, first, I thought Amari Hampton had. Well, from the flashes we saw in him, I think he's going to be a hit. We'll see. But in terms of all these people complaining about Hampton leaving the game, he went DNP, LP, questionable ahead of this game. And then people bet his
People were betting his over?
People bet his overs because the number was really low, and I
mean, that's just a bad bet.
So we took his unders and we control.
They weren't looking at us. They didn't do their work. They didn't do their homework on Amari and Hampton.
Yeah, but just the larger and I get it. The lines are really low. We took their unders. We control a lot of the props market, and his numbers got really, really low, especially closer to kick. So I understand the temptation that people want to do it, but you knew what you were getting into when you bet overs on a guy who comes in hurt, and then the whining afterwards is just so. It's
you know what you can also do. There is this option on the table. Don't bet.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the practice. Do a little bit of homework. Understand that there's a lot of uncertainty with this guy. Bet on something else,
Yeah.
or don't bet. Save your money.
Yeah, and just I've talked about this so much on the solo pod, but the
Or
people
bet
that
is under, like you said.
the people who bet this stuff like the parlay, all this stuff, and they're only taking overs. Like they don't even think under is an option. So hopefully after this they'll see under as an option. But anyways, back to the Chargers. I do think Alton Slater coming back. You unlock something with Quentin Johnston. I think Amari Hampton's going to be a hit. You found a hit on Gadsden. Defense played really well. Like I still think Chargers have a lot of stuff to be optimistic about. They just can't seem to get over the hump from it. And a lot of that has to do with injuries. So it's like every year. All right. Let's go to Texans game last night. Texans go to Pittsburgh and win 30-6. This game was much closer than that final score, though. Texans were only up 7-6 after 3 quarters. And that was mostly because CJ Stroud was so bad. I mean, weird decisions, threw an interception, fumbled 5 times and lost 2. But in the end, defense was too dominant. Christian Kirk goes absolutely berserk both before and after the Nico Collins concussion. So, Evan, what do you think of Texans game last night against the Steelers?
Well, we should give a shout out to the props team, right? Because they were, or was it the showdown people?
Projections, yeah. I mean, starts with projections. I mean, we had seen that Christian Kirk was moving ahead of Jalen Noel, Jaden Higgins. He was icing all these guys. And so, yeah, we were way outlier on market on Christian Kirk. I honestly didn't feel great about it. I was like, guys, are you sure?
I know you don't like Christian Kirk.
I was like, are you sure we want to be this high on Christian Kirk? And luckily we stuck with it. So, yeah, shout out to anyone who
that won people, a lot of people money, man. That was a really, really big deal.
For sure.
It also gave me, we got man versus machine result show coming up, and Leone's talking all kinds of mess in the Slack. I mean, I'm serious. He's like trying to pick fights with me.
It's true.
And one of the guys that I liked before the season was Christian Kirk. So I'm going to obviously take the L on that, but at least I got this playoff game.
Unreal.
The Texans are in such a tough spot now. You talk about CJ Stroud making bad decisions, and now he's got to go face the Patriots defense, who did what they just did against the Chargers in Foxborough, potentially without Nico Collins. And this is not Nico Collins' first concussion of the season. He had another one in week 7.
He's going to be out. Yeah.
Yeah. God, that is so huge. And the Texans have their own offensive line problems. It's going to be so tough. I will say, I thought Woody Marks looked great. This is maybe the best game he played all season.
Yeah, I'll get to Woody in a sec. Just more of the fallout from the Nico stuff. Now it's going to show that they never gave, maybe it's valid, but they never gave Jalen Noel a chance to play. And I thought when Jalen Noel actually got on the field this season, which was sparingly, I thought he looked really good. But for whatever reason, they haven't given him a chance. Jaden Higgins has been regressing in terms of his role. He only ran 15 routes in this game on 35 dropbacks. Hutchinson ran 26. Kirk ran 24. They're going to need Jaden Higgins, though, without Nico Collins to step up and play a huge game. I'm not sure how capable he is of that. We're going to have a really nice projection, I think, on Dalton Schultz when the dust kind of settles from this. Assuming that Nico is out. Schultz ran 26 routes in this game on 35 dropbacks. I think that CJ Stroud will be most comfortable throwing to him. And I guess Christian Kirk, and by the way, Christian Kirk would likely avoid Christian Gonzalez if Gonzalez plays. Kirk 30 snaps in the slot in this game, just 8 out wide. So, yeah.
That was another reason to like Christian Kirk against the Steelers. The Steelers have always, under Mike Tomlin, struggled to cover slot receivers.
Why do you think they aren't using / playing? Any ideas on Higgins and Noel? But maybe, they're going to have to play this week. So, yeah, any thoughts on those guys, the Texans rookie wide receivers?
I would guess maybe just trust issues.
Yeah.
Because they're rookies.
Yeah.
And I mean, they are playing. It's just that the Texans have not committed to them as full-time players.
Yeah. Evan mentioned
going with the veterans.
Evan mentioned Woody Marks. It's just crazy he can't get targets. In this game, he played a great game. I mean, easily his best game of the season, I thought. But he only had 1 target here and no catches. So he was very close, despite playing an awesome game, to scoring just 9.9 DraftKings points. Luckily, at the very end, goes over 100 yards and gets the touchdown to end up with a big score. But yeah, I mean, when you don't catch the football, you got to score touchdowns. And, Woody Marks is not
so weird because he had 300 catches in college almost.
So weird.
I mean, that was like the reason that you draft Woody Marks.
For sure. All right. Steelers. Steelers are done. Aaron Rodgers' career, maybe, probably done. I mean, this team just wasn't very talented. On defense, they were old and slow. On offense, they had Arthur Smith at the controls and very little talent to work with. It's just the same thing every year on the Steelers. They trick themselves into thinking they're contenders when really they're just a mediocre team. Evan, any final thoughts on the Steelers 2025 season?
Not a whole lot of compelling ones.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're going to go from here. You know, we'll see if Tomlin comes back, Arthur Smith. I don't know. I mean, I don't know who their quarterback is going to be. I guess Tomlin wants Aaron Rodgers to come back.
Yeah.
I don't know. They definitely need more talent.
Undoubtedly. And by the way, their team MVP, as voted by them, is a free agent. Kenny Gainwell is an unrestricted free agent here, and he had a really, really, really nice season for the Steelers.
We need to get Pat Freiermuth out of Pittsburgh.
Yes. Shout out Penn
We
State.
need to get him on a team that'll throw him the ball.
All right. Let's go to the Buffalo Bills. I mean, we know what happens in these playoff games. Bills are severely lacking weapons. It's Josh Allen's Superman time. And that is what happened in this game against the Jaguars. He literally carried the team. Like that play where he got pushed on the push or whatever it was. They win 27-24. Allen goes 28 of 35 throwing, runs it 11 times for 2 touchdowns, doesn't turn it over. He played perfect. And that's what it takes for this team to win. And Allen played perfect and they still almost lost the game and easily could have lost the game. So, Evan, what do you think of Bills' win in Jacksonville?
Yeah, Josh Allen was incredible. And Jacksonville legitimately had one of the best defenses in the league this season, both against the run and the pass. There has been talk about Anthony Campanelli, their defensive coordinator, maybe getting a head coaching job. Maybe not this cycle, but 2027 if they do well again. But yeah, it was the Josh Allen show. It's funny. I mean, Brandon Cooks looks pretty good out there, but he is their best outside receiver right now. Brandon Cooks, an in-season waiver claim, is the Bills' best outside receiver.
Yeah. I had that note also. Shakir is probably the best play and will have his best projection here, but he had a 1.8 yard ADOT in this game, average depth of target, which is, to say low is an understatement. The lowest I could possibly fathom. For the season, he was around, something really, really low there also. It's really hard to have big fantasy games like that unless you catch 12 balls, which he did here. After Shakir, though, I agree. I think Brandon Cooks is the best play in fantasy. 21 routes on 35 dropbacks. He's 32 years old, but he's the best they have right now. It was good to see Dalton Kincaid back here and healthy. 22 routes for Kincaid was a team high outside of Khalil Shakir. He did get the touchdown. The running back stuff. So Ty Johnson was a game time decision here, ends up inactive. They did not expand James Cook's role with Ty Johnson out. James Cook only got 38 of 63 snaps. Ray Davis got 20. And Frank Gore got 4. Still an awesome role for James Cook, but I'm just noting that he did not see a bump without Ty Johnson. Really interesting.
How about Brandon Cooks after getting his catches, he'd stand up and do the Neo Matrix, come here thing.
Yeah.
Kind of showing his age there. Matrix, the Gen Xers or whatever, the Gen Zers, they're not watching Matrix. That's a boomer movie.
Movie was ahead of its time, man. If anybody hasn't seen The Matrix, I mean, ahead of its time. It's so, so, so good. So Bills at Broncos, the first game on Saturday. I'm going to try to go. I haven't been to an NFL game in I don't even know how long. I'm excited for this, though. I'm going to try and go. I do think that it's a decent spot for the Broncos. I think the line is right. It's Broncos minus 1.5, basically a pick. I think it's right. This is a Saturday early game. Bills had to play Sunday this past week. Josh Allen took a ton of hits, was slow to get up a bunch, already had the foot issue. Now they have to come to the altitude on a short week. So there's some things definitely working in favor for Denver here. I'll talk more about them in a second, but yeah, should be a really, really, really good game. All right. Jaguars. I thought they abandoned the run in this game which surprised me, given how bad the Bills have struggled to defend the run all season. I mean, the way you beat the Bills all season is just run it right up the middle. The Jaguars like abandoned it a little bit, and still they had a 24-20 lead with 4 minutes left. I mean, they needed one stop to advance and couldn't get it. Evan, any final thoughts on Jaguars, which was a really encouraging season? I mean, they easily could have won this game and had been much better season, but good start, I think, for Liam Cohen.
Absolutely. And they were super, to your point about abandoning the run, they were super efficient when they were running it.
Yeah.
How about Parker Washington emerging as he reminds me of like Golden Tate. He's sort of built like a running back, so good in the slot. He's going to be, it's going to be fun to kind of rank it might not be very fun to try to rank the Jaguars receivers going in to next year. I wonder if they might shop Brian Thomas if they think that he was not a fit for their offense. It'll be interesting to see what they do, but no question, Liam Cohen had an awesome first year as the Jaguars head coach and got Trevor Lawrence to play at a level that he has not played before in his career. Finally, at long last, Trevor Lawrence finishes a top 3 fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, I think two of the biggest stories this offseason will come from Jacksonville. First, Travis Etienne is a free agent. I was encouraged that they trusted Bashal Tutin for 16 snaps in this playoff game. Remember, Tutin missed a bunch of time with an injury. This is a huge playoff game, and he still gets 16 snaps. I thought that was encouraging. And again, Travis Etienne is a free agent. And then, as Evan alluded to, what happens with Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter? Do they trade Brian Thomas Jr. because he's not a scheme fit and to make room for Travis Hunter? Or do they keep Brian Thomas Jr. and maybe make Travis Hunter a full-time cornerback? Because Parker Washington and Jacoby Myers have to play. And then if you have Brian Thomas Jr. also, well, where does that leave Travis Hunter? So really interesting offseason coming up for the Jaguars.
I also thought that Brenton Strange took a really nice step forward. He didn't do very much in this game, but took a very nice step forward this year when he was healthy. And I think that he'll probably end up being ranked as a top 10 fantasy tight end for next season.
Last team is the Broncos. They were on a bye. Of course, they will host the Bills, as I just alluded to, on Saturday early evening. The big question to me on the Broncos is, can their defense regain dominance? They did not dominate Chris Oladukin and the Chiefs in week 17. In week 16, the Broncos gave up 34 points at home to the Jaguars. In week 15, the Packers put 26 points on the Broncos on 5.7 yards per play. So if the Broncos are going to do what they want to do, beat the Bills, go to the Super Bowl, this defense has to be way better and play up to the level that I know they're capable of than they've been over the last month. So yeah, Evan, any Broncos thoughts ahead of this game against the Bills?
Not really. These teams did play in the playoffs last year, though.
Yes.
And the Broncos got out to a 7-0 lead and then just got spanked by Buffalo 31-7.
Yeah.
I do think that the Bills are not quite as good as they were last year, and the Broncos are a little better than they were last year. But the Broncos got through this season by the skin of their teeth in so many games. They went 11-2 in one-score games.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited for every game this weekend. But I mean, this should be a really good one.
And I think the Bills playing at home makes a huge difference. If I recall correctly, that playoff game was in Buffalo last year. This game will be in Denver with a lot of lifelong Broncos fans since last month, like me, there in attendance. So yeah, really, really excited for the divisional games. We continue to cover the NFL playoffs with the same intensity, all the same coverage as we do during the regular season. If you have the in-season product, there are weekly and monthly options available to access our projections, premium shows, articles, everything ahead of this weekend's divisional games, conference championship, and of course, Super Bowl. For Evan, producer Luke, producer Ryan, I'm Adam. Good luck, everybody.